Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, from the United Kingdom is a guy I've wanted to get on for a long time. He's one of the founders of UKIP, with Nigel Farage, the rock star of liberty now in Europe and England, and, of course, Lord Christopher Monckton. He's a member of the European Parliament for Yorkshire and Humber for the United Kingdom Independence Party. He was first elected in 2004 and re-elected in 2009 before becoming MEP. Bloom worked as a financial economist. Godfrey Bloom is the president of the European Alliance for Freedom, a Eurosceptic pan-European political party. Godfrey Bloom, MEP.co.uk. And he is just an amazing, this is a founding father level guy, folks. The people that gave us Magna Carta, the people that gave us Bill of Rights and Constitution, due process, the people that paid with their blood, these guys are paying with their time and their energy. And I salute God. I think he might have been on once before about 5 years ago. But the point is, he's on with us now, and UKIP has just had huge victories in England. They're having victories in the EU. Liberty is really getting popular. This is history happening. So, Mr. Bloom, thanks for giving us a report from the UK on what's happening.
Great pleasure. Great pleasure to be on the show again. You're right. It was about 5 years ago. Very enjoyable.
That's right. I was saying maiden voyage on the show, and I went, wait a minute, I've had this guy on before because I've seen you in Parliament doing, debating these people. What is the state of the world right now? You're in the middle of the EU tyranny. What's happening with the EU? What's happening with UKIP? What's happening with Nigel Farage, popular worldwide? Ron Paul, popular worldwide? You're popular worldwide. Again, we're not bragging like narcissist egomaniacs. It's like a sonar ping. The fact that liberty is so popular and that personalities promoting liberty are so popular, what does that say to the plutocrats?
Well, it's interesting. An interesting development now is, of course, that the political class, who are class apart, who behave and have many of the characteristics of the old landed aristocracy of the 18th century, they are the new aristocracy, and they ride roughshod over everybody. And the divide between the political class and the ordinary people has now got to the stage that there's almost, we're getting into a sort of an electoral rebellion, which is what we've been working for quite a long time. And we broke through, the major breakthrough was last week in our local government elections, where we shot up to 25% of the vote. And that's taken an awful lot of hard work. But of course, people now are beginning to say, in times of recession, nobody goes to the barricades, of course, when they've got a full tummy and 2 cars in the garage. But times are economically very hard now for ordinary people, and they're now looking very much more closely at how they are governed. They haven't done this for some time, and now they're looking at this and they're saying, just a minute, we are being misgoverned basically by crooks and charlatans, and they don't like it.
Well, very well said. Shemezi, what I'm getting from you is that there is a global awakening happening, and you're really seeing it even start in England. What does it mean that UKIP has had such a huge victory in the local elections nationwide?
Well, this really is being looked at by everybody. It's a phenomenon, and it's based on people having the feeling that they want to reject the political class. And of course, this has also happened in Italy, where they did it a different way. They elected a professional comedian, which was very much their way of rejecting the political class as well. And of course, we're seeing the breakdown of the euro, the single currency, which of course was inevitable, which Nigel Farage and I have been calling now. Well, I was calling it at Cambridge University in the mid-1990s. Before it even started, it was deeply flawed. It was a political currency. It was a way of trying to jam down the throats of the people, a super state of Europe, which is based broadly on a fascist style of government, and I don't use that term as a pejorative term, which is often used, and it's just a statement of fact that there are two differences. Fascism is controlling the means of production, and communism is owning the means of production, and now we've got into a fascist state which controls the means of production. They're controlled by rules and regulations, of which we have 2,000 a year coming out of Brussels. 75% of the laws now of the United Kingdom are made in Brussels by unelected bureaucrats. That is illegal under our own constitution. It's illegal under our Bill of Rights of 1688. And it's also in breach of Her Majesty's coronation oath. So this whole thing has been illegal from the start, and it's now beginning to show. But one of the problems that we've had, and I know you have this problem in America, because I visit America quite a lot, and I have a lot of American friends, is that we have had a failed education system for the last 2 generations, where young people aren't taught what their rights and what their liberties are. So, for example, if you stand in front of a class in the United Kingdom, and I bet it's the same in America, and if you talk about the concept of the presumption of innocence, habeas corpus, the fundamental pillars of the English system of law, they will stare at you. They don't know what you're talking about. And, of course, that makes it very easy, doesn't it, to take liberties away from people if they don't know that they had them to start with.
That's right.
That, of course, is what's been happening.
A member of European Union Parliament, Mr. Bloom, joins us right now. Godfrey Bloom, we only got one more little short segment. He's got to go at the bottom of the hour. We're about to go to break, but I want to get this in here right now. What is happening, because you're inside the EU, watching it from the inside, how bad is the meltdown? What's going on with the open tyranny of the bureaucrats being tax exempt, the Frenchies being caught, the socialists not paying their taxes, but everybody else has to? I mean, how long can this craziness go on? What's going to happen with Europe?
It's already breaking down as we speak. It's already failing. Excuse me, I've got something in my throat here. It's failing. But of course, they're in denial. The Parliament, excuse me, the Parliament is in denial, and they're just pretending it's not happening. It's a bit like Hitler's bunker. They're moving imaginary armies around the Elbe, and I don't think it can last like this very much longer.
Well, I agree with you. I actually use that analogy quite a bit. I don't have anybody else use it. It's true. They're moving imaginary armies around on the bunker, and it's not real anymore, but they are still in control. So when we come back, I want to ask you where you expect it to go, how big a deal it is, because people are like, well, why do we care if UKIP? It's like Ron Paul, folks. It's libertarian, pro-sovereignty, pro-family, anti-tyranny, pro-due process, and the media over there goes, they're fascist, but now the Brits and people in the UK are listening, and the people in Europe are listening and now mimicking it and going, no, they're real liberals. They're classical freedom people. They're Thomas Jefferson. They're William Wallace. Many anthropologists and archaeologists believe that before man even discovered the power to harness and use fire, we were involved in agrarian activities. That is, taking the seeds of plants and then replanting them to produce more. The very foundation of our modern civilization and human culture is centered around the planting and cultivation of edible plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, you name it. And the globalists have been going after gardening. They've been harassing people that have gardens in their front yards or their backyards. They've called for licenses for people to have gardens because you can't trust prisoners in the police state America to be able to grow their own food. That's why I've come to the realization that we need to become self-sufficient. You need to be informed. You need to have the Second Amendment to protect yourself. You need to be politically active to wake up others. You need to filter your water. But you also need to plant a garden. Even if you live in an apartment, you can do this. If you live in the countryside, obviously you can do it on a grand scale. There are so many green belts in areas that humans don't even visit, nearby cities and in suburbs, where people are now more and more planting their own little private gardens and meadows and off the side of the road. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a revolutionary act to unplug from the television, to unplug from the computer and all the globalist propaganda, and to go out in your backyard or your front yard or planters at your apartment or on the roof of the building where you live, and to plant a garden.
Here are some of the amazing deals at InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com. The Survival Seed Vault by My Patriot Supply features only the finest survival heirloom seeds for a robust and hardy garden, even in the toughest of times. The ARC All-in-One Seed Kit contains 70 varieties of 50,000 seeds of fruits, vegetables, medicinal, and culinary herbs. All ARC seeds are heirloom. Each type is labeled and sealed separately for ease of use and longevity. The Deluxe Emergency Seed Bank combines 3 of Emergency Seed Bank's top sellers: the Family Survival Emergency Seed Bank, the Medicinal Herb Seeds Pack, and the Culinary Herb Seeds Pack. We also have starter varieties of the deluxe seed packages for fruit, salad, salsa, peppers, and medicinal herbs and more. Go to the InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsShop.com.
A little seed can grow a huge tree that produces fruit for up to 50 years. We have the best life bombs. That's what these are. We have the best weapons against death out there at the lowest prices, waiting for you to lovingly plant them and lovingly grow them and lovingly eat them and share them with others. We will strike back against the New World Order, and this is only one more initiative in our fight against them. So please join us at InfoWarsShop.com, or you can link through at Infowars.com at the InfoWars Seed Center. But finishing up with member of the European Union Parliament, Godfrey Bloom, it's a big deal to have people that basically are constitutional libertarians. I mean, sound just like Ron Paul, sound like me. You know, anti-globalist, exposing the Bilderbergs, to have them going from 3% to 25% to, and now having other parties imitating them and having the mainline parties scared. And in a parliamentary way, they're, you know, you had 25%, you win 25%. So they're taking over, and even mainline analysts are saying it, but Europe is collapsing. So you're an economist, you're an expert on this. In the 5 minutes we have left, Mr. Bloom, what is going to happen with the big central banks? What's going to happen in Europe?
Well, we have the problems here of debt, overwhelming debt that cannot possibly be repaid. The shadow banking system owes Germany somewhere in the region of £900 billion. That can't possibly be repaid. In the United Kingdom, we've just moved over £1 trillion, not dollars, £1 trillion of national debt, which is going up at 10% every year. Even since this so-called conservative administration took over, it's still going up at the rate of 10%. So it means the conservative, the so-called conservative, because they're not conservative at all, the conservative government is going to hand back in 2015 a national debt which is half as much again as the one that they inherited. Nobody is yet, either in Europe or the United Kingdom, prepared to admit that this whole post-war welfare experiment has failed, that you can't. We spend in the United Kingdom £200 billion a year on welfare. We borrow that money to pay young people to sit at home and not work. We import workers from Eastern Europe and other parts of the globe to work, while much of our young indigenous population is unemployed. It's 28% and rising. In Greece, it's 50%. The Iberian Peninsula, 50% young people unemployed. That isn't sustainable for any society. You can't have that number of young people unemployed. The banks, the Fed, the ECB, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, are all printing money. That must end in disaster. We're going to have to get back somehow to hard money, commodity-backed money. We're going to have to get rid of the central banks, which actually manipulate interest rates. Old people are struggling because their savings aren't getting interest rates. They're defrauding the savers in Europe. They're defrauding them. People who have led good lives, people who have led sensible lives, they've worked hard. They've worked all their lives, and now they're not getting any interest. And the country, all these countries are in debt. They're handing on huge debts to their children and their grandchildren. And I can't see, personally, any way out other than default. And that goes for the Europeans, the United Kingdom, and sad to say, I think default is possible in the United States.
And at Davos, as you know, their answer is bring in global carbon taxes to prop up SDRs, $100 trillion per decade, to give the very insider bankers that engineered all this even more power. They think they're going to get a total takeover out of it, so they're militarizing police and things. But I don't think that's going to work as the public just totally withdraws consent from them. I mean, I see a giant Ceausescu type event happening over and over again. What do you see?
I see the same thing. We saw the Soviet Union collapse. It happened. I was an ex-soldier. I was stationed in Germany by and by. I saw the collapse of the Soviet Union. It happened very much quicker than we thought it possibly could. And I think the European Union certainly will go the same way. I think it's already happening where people are having their money stolen by bankers in Cyprus. This must come to other parts of the European Union, with bankers actually stealing your money, not allowing you to take money out. There'll be capital controls. You won't be able to take your money out of the country. And I think we're going to be looking down the barrel of a very serious revolution. I don't know quite what form it's going to take. I don't know whether it will be a violent one. I don't know whether it will be an intellectual. I hope it will be an intellectual victory for ideas of libertarianism. And I'm hoping that the one country, whether it's your country or my country, will lead the way. We need to lead the way so people across the world can see that we can get away from this mercantilism. We can get out of the clutches of central banks, fraudulent and cheating politicians, and self-serving bureaucrats. We can do it. How it's going to actually pan out, I don't know. But it must happen. It's got to happen.
Absolutely. All right, Godfrey Bloom, let me say bye to you during the break. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.